I receive an abundance of grace and the gift of righteousness. I reign in life through Yahushua Messiah. Romans 5, verse 17. Wives, as a wife, I submit myself to my husband as is fitting in Yahowah. My husband loves me like Messiah loved the congregation and gave himself up for her. Colossians 3, verse 18, and Ephesians 5, verse 25. Husbands, as a husband, I love my wife as Messiah loved the congregation and gave himself up for her. I look out not only for my own interest, but also for the interests of others. Philippians 2, verse 4. Wives, the heart of my husband trusts in me. He has no lack of gain. Proverbs 31, verse 11. Husbands, I express belief in my wife and encourage her. I have no lack of gain. Proverbs 31, verse 11, 28, and 29 verses. Wives, I do my husband good and not evil all the days of my life. Proverbs 31, verse 12. Husbands, I cover my wife with the word to present her holy and blameless before Yahowah. Ephesians 5, verse 26. I can do all things through Messiah who strengthens me. Philippians 4, verse 13. I ask Yahweh to set a guard over my mouth. He keeps watch over the door of my lips. Psalm 141, verse 3. I let the peace of Messiah rule in my heart. As a member of one body, I am called to peace and I am thankful. Colossians 3, verse 15. I walk in a manner worthy of Yahweh, pleasing him in all respects. I bear fruit in every good work, and I am increasing in the knowledge of Yahweh. Colossians 1, verse 10. I meditate on Yahuwah's word day and night. I am successful and prosperous. Psalm 1, verse 2 through 3. Joshua 1, verse 8. I honor Yahweh with my wealth and the first fruits of all my produce. Then my barns will be filled with plenty. My vats will overflow with new wine. Proverbs 3, verse 9 and 10. I bring the whole tithe into the storehouse. He opens the windows of heaven for me and pours out a blessing so great that I don't have enough room for it. Malachi 3, verse 10. I prosper in all things. I remain in health just as my soul prospers. 3 John chapter 1, verse 3. I give and I receive. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will it be put into my lap. Luke 6, verse 38. I experience all blessings as I obey Yahweh, my Elohim. Deuteronomy 28, verse 2. My kneading bowl and basket are blessed. It is the means by which I am tangibly increasing. Deuteronomy 28, verse 5. All the people of the earth see that I am called by the name of Yahweh. Deuteronomy 28, verse 10. I lend to many nations, but I will not borrow. Deuteronomy 28, verse 12. My ways please Yahweh, and he makes even my enemies to be at peace with me. Proverbs 16, verse 7. But by Yahuwah's doing I am in Messiah Yahushua. He became to me wisdom, righteousness, sanctification, and redemption. 1 Corinthians 1, verse 30. I always rejoice and pray without ceasing. In everything I give thanks, for this is the will of Yahweh and Messiah Yahushua for me. 1 Thessalonians 5, verses 16 through 18. The joy of Yahweh is my strength. Nehemiah 8, verse 10. I do all things without grumbling or complaining, so that I will prove myself to be blameless and innocent. I am a child of Yahweh, who is above reproach in the midst of a crooked and perverse generation, among whom I appear as lights in the world. Philippians 2, verses 14 and 15. I hold fast to the word of life. In the day of Messiah's return, I will have reason to glory because I did not run or labor in vain. Philippians 2, verse 16. I always rejoice in Yahweh, and my gentleness, graciousness, or forbearance is known to all people. Philippians 4, verses 4 and 5. I choose to meditate on anything that has virtue or is praiseworthy. I think about things are true, noble, just, pure, lovely, and of a good report. Philippians 4, verse 8. I press on that I may lay hold of that which Messiah Yahushua has also laid hold of me, forgetting those things which are behind and reaching forward to those things which are ahead. I press toward the goal for the prize of the upward call of Yahweh and Messiah Yahushua. Philippians 3, 12 through 14. I speak Yahuwah's word, and hearing the word increases my faith. Romans 10, verse 17. I declare Yahuwah's word about who I am, what I have, and what I can do in Messiah Yahushua, who gives me strength. I am established as his daughter in all ways, and I shine in his light. Job 22, verse 8, Isaiah 60, verse 1. Also, I thank our Father. I speak Yahuwah's word, and his angels do the voice of his word. Psalm 103, verse 20. I speak Yahuwah's word, and it does not return to him void. His word accomplishes what he pleases, and it prospers in the thing for which he sends it. Isaiah 55, verse 11. I persist in speaking Yahuwah's word until it accomplishes its purpose. It is like fire. It is like a hammer that shatters a rock. Jeremiah 23, verse 29. I speak pleasant words that are sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. I am wise and I bring healing. Proverbs 16, verse 24. Proverbs 12, verse 18. I have a wholesome tongue, which is a tree of life to myself and others. Proverbs 15, verse 4, Proverbs 11, verse 30, Proverbs 18, verse 21. I speak words of life. I am satisfied with the good by the fruit produced by my words. Proverbs 12, verse 14, Proverbs 18, verse 20. As I speak Yahuwah's word, he sends it to heal and deliver me from my destructions and to deliver whosoever he sends his word into. He delivers me from my destruction. The Father has accepted me in the beloved. Ephesians 1, verse 6. I have redemption through Yahushua Messiah's blood and the forgiveness of sins. Ephesians 1, verse 7. Colossians 1, verse 14. I have obtained an inheritance in Messiah. Ephesians 1, verse 11. I have been brought to Father by the blood of Messiah. Ephesians 2, verse 13. For he himself is my peace. He made the Gentiles and the Hebrews, Jews, into one by breaking down the barrier of the dividing wall. Ephesians 2, verse 14. I have access by one Spirit, Ruach HaKodesh, to the Father through Messiah. Yahushua. Ephesians 2, verse 18. I thank Yahowah. He always leads me triumphantly by the Messiah, and through me spreads everywhere the fragrance of knowing him. 2 Corinthians 2, verse 14. I have the mind of Messiah. 1 Corinthians 2, verse 16. He made Messiah, who knew no sin, to be sin for me, that I might become the righteousness of Yahweh in him. 2 Corinthians 5, verse 21. If I sin, I have an advocate with the Father, Yahushua, Messiah, the righteous. 1 John 2, verse 1. All of Yahuwah's promises are yes and amen for me, because I am in Messiah. 2 Corinthians 1, verse 20.